even want to talk about election integrity. I just want to talk about Jesus. I look at our dollar bill. I mean, we have the all-seeing eye on our dollar bill. That's probably not good.
If we don't
it's going to be Sri Lanka and America
action,
very, very
we're
soon.
Screwed.
I don't think that this is just my thought. I don't think we are going to be on the planet Earth very long. I think we're living through the book of Revelation.
What's your ETA?
I think the scrolls are being opened up. I think Revelation 13:2 was revealed when the United Nations rolled out their crazy statue in front of it. I believe Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18 was fulfilled. I believe when you see the Bill Gates patent W020020060606, I think we're living through Matthew chapter 24. I think the fourth industrial revolution is the fourth kingdom that Daniel prophesied. And so my focus is on leading people to Christ. I'm in the book of Revelation. It talks about there will be a time and these seals will begin to be opened and revealed, and then a lot of really bad things happening. And guess what? They're happening. So
what are
as
we
it relates
do
to the
about it?
timeline of life on earth, we're almost to the end of it. And so I'm just trying to share the gospel. And that's why I'm doing the Reawaken America tour. I'm not doing the Reawaken America tour for any other reason than that.
But Clay, what are we going to do about it, right? The FBI has proven
we're going to go to hell or heaven, and soon you will see the Russians and the Chinese taking over America. World Health Organization is going to declare very soon a FEIC, public health emergency of international concern. And once they do that, for anybody who wants to go read that online, it's PHEIC. If you read that document, a FEIC, a public health emergency of international concern. Once they do that, then the world will be beginning to follow the recommendations of the World Health Organization. And that is a very concerning 8-step plan they've outlined.
We don't teach God in our schools anymore. We don't even teach the 10 Commandments. Most kids don't even know the 10 Commandments. And so they don't have a fear of God. If you don't have a fear of God, there is no way that you are going to be able to go into a society and promote any type of righteousness. We are morally weak as a nation right now, and I think we put that front and center for the American people to...
Yo, welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, pressing play. We really appreciate it, guys. We haven't been here in a while.
No.
With an actual show, so to keep you all updated on what's going on. So
we had to get to that bag.
We have for sure.
As they say.
Hope everybody's having a blessed day.
Stay prayed up out here, man. It's getting spooky.
I don't know. You want to open up with you got a scripture for us, Mojo?
Sure. I can keep a scripture on me. Ain't gonna lie.
Man. So, this year is almost over, man. It's flying through. It's already about to be January. So much stuff going on, so much happening, guys. Hope everybody's staying safe, staying out the way. And as always, like, comment, subscribe. We're also on Apple, Spotify, Rumble. Yeah. Feel free if you support what we're doing as we're trying to bring you all this information. Thanks. If you all want to give a small donation, our Cash App is at the bottom of the screen.
Hit that Cash App.
Feel free. We would greatly appreciate that blessing.
No, man. Listen here. For all my people out there that's dealing with mental health, Brother Twitch killed himself, unfortunately. Whatever happened there, y'all can do all the conspiracies all you want to. All I know is a brother lost his life. He's not the only one. I've been talking to a lot of people lately, and obviously this deals with women as well, but I've been talking to a lot of younger dudes, and I've been telling them, in my space of career, there's a lot of people getting a lot of opportunities, and I'm trying to get them to understand that, most men commit suicide at a rapid rate from the age of 21 to 45. That's a high level of a male committing suicide, and they have a lot of mental health issues during that time. So not just men, this for all my people in general. If y'all dealing with mental health or anything like that, or you just feeling down and you feel like you ain't making it enough in life and things like that, I'm opening up the word today in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18. And it says, the Lord is near the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. This is who we are, the brokenhearted and the crushed in spirit.
That's a good one.
And that's who Jesus is here for, the broken heart, to bind up the broken hearts.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
So if you're ever feeling down or something like that, I encourage you to do what I've done and what many other people have done and should do. If you're ever feeling down or you're ever feeling lonely or anything like that, turn to the Lord first. Before you make a drastic decision, make a permanent decision based off a temporary circumstance, turn to the Lord first. Let him deal with you and work it out with him first.
Amen. Open up the Bible, get to know it, get acclimated with the word. and be careful who you seek guidance from.
Absolutely.
So that's a good scripture, Mojo. And what was it out of again?
The book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18.
Nice. That's beautiful. Amen. That was beautiful. So let's jump right into it.
It's a lot going on.
Well, of course. Africa has a digital currency coin. It's called Ottawa coin.
Yep.
It's the new cryptocurrency that will change how Africans use and spend money. It is a secure, fast, affordable, easy way to make transactions, yada, yada, yada. Now, check this out. Now, the Biden administration is looking to strengthen relations with African nations as China has surpassed the U.S. in trade with the continent and is aiming to grow its military presence. So Nigeria, which is Africa's most populated country with more than 210 million people, the continent is crucial to global powers because of its rapidly growing population, its significant natural resources, and sizable voting bloc in the United Nations. Some leaders who took part in the summit made clear they want the Biden administration to steer away from forcing them to choose between the U.S. and its global competitors when it comes to trade matters. Quote unquote, the Nigerian president said, "These are economic opportunities. Companies from Turkey and China come and invest in Nigeria in a win-win type of relationship. It is something that American investors can do as well." Biden on Thursday formally announced that he supports the African Union becoming a permanent member of the group of 20 nations. He also announced plans to spend $2 billion to help bolster food security on the continent and $165 million to help African nations carry out peaceful and transparent elections next year. Now, those announcements came after Biden this week detailed his administration commitment to spend $55 billion on government programming in Africa over the next 3 years, over and above the billions that American private companies would invest. He says, "Our eyes are fixed squarely on the future," Biden said. And yeah, so it looks like Biden, the U.S. is looking to dump millions of money over into Africa. They want to help its system, help the voting. They want to help their digital currency system. And I don't know. And I guess when I heard this and I started reading through this, I said to myself, like, man, they must have some people in Africa that are their plants.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got their foot in Africa. That's funny that we was just talking about the whole, Breakfast Club and Umar situation, because that's something he brought up. He was talking about how every power structure or military base that the Americans or America has in Africa has had a type of scandal in those nations. So it's mighty strange that we're talking about a plant being in Africa. It wouldn't be the first time, first and foremost. Let's get that out the way. It's funny to me that you said, how much did they send? He said he's going to dedicate to Africa.
Well, he said he wants to definitely... It said he also announced plans to spend $2 billion to help bolster food security on the continent and $165 million to help African nations carry out a peaceful and transparent elections. Those announcements came after Biden this week detailed his administration's commitment to spend $55 billion on government programming in Africa over the next 3 years.
So, according to defensegov.com, since 2014, the United States has committed more than $20.3 billion in security assistance to the Ukraine. Now, this was prior to the war. Since the war, we've dedicated more than 17.6 altogether since up until October 14th, 2022. We've dedicated $18.2 billion in security assistance to the Ukraine since January of 2021. So that's a little bit roughly over $30 billion that we've sent to Ukraine since 2014. All together, and more than 18 billion, a little bit more than 18 billion since the beginning of January of last year.
Wow.
So 2 billion sounds cute, and don't let people fool you. Oh, that's so much money. Oh my God. No, it's not. No, it's not. 2 billion ain't gonna do nothing. You know how large the continent of Africa is. Don't let me get my folks together, because I know some of y'all think.
And then let's make it. And then
Africa is a continent. It's not a country. It's a continent full of countries. So $2 billion ain't gonna do nothing to the continent of Africa. What country you giving that $2 billion to is what I want to know.
And let's be clear. This is a continent that is rich in natural resources.
Right.
The U.S. wants to compete with China. Absolutely. And they look at Africa like a freaking gold mine. They have the population and they have the resources.
Yes.
That's a gold mine to the U.S. because they need that to stay. They want to continue to be the world's leading power.
And let's be honest, it ain't just the U.S. It's a gold mine to the Chinese as well, to China as well. They ain't the only ones. China owns a lot of the diamond mines and gold mines out there as well. And so does the Great Britain. The Queen, obviously, rest in peace to the Queen, but Charles is over there now.
So check this out. So the Gates Foundation pledges $7 billion for health and farming in Africa. Bill Gates, on a visit to Kenya, has announced his foundation will spend $7 billion to improve health, gender equality, and farming in Africa. The new pledge will be spent over the next 4 years and is in addition to existing Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funding to strengthen health systems across the continent. Africa's young people have the talent and opportunity to accelerate progress and help solve the world's most pressing problems, Gates said. So now
in Kenya, right?
Yeah.
What does gender equalization have to do with Kenya in Africa?
Right. I guess they say in gender equality, they're going to bring that up. And they say the new funding comes as countries in East Africa and the Horn of Africa face the worst drought in decades. They say we will invest in local institutions and new collaborations that build long-term resilience needed to make these crises less frequent and less devastating. On his visit to Kenya, Gates has been visiting primary health care centers, leading medical and agriculture research institutes, and smallholder farms.
That's not good. Anytime he visiting prime healthcare, you've seen what he did to our healthcare. So, and it's mighty funny that a man that's bought up all of the farmland in America and basically all the agricultural resources in America is in control of it in some way, shape, or form or capacity is going to Africa with $7 billion to do the same for them, to strengthen theirs.
Everybody's investing in Africa all of a sudden. And it's American people with money.
Think about that. Now,
and it's like,
tell your favorite celebrities, since they always want to talk about they ain't going back to Africa. Well, they going back to Africa. There's something going on in Africa, clearly.
So Egypt joins BRICS, the new development bank. The government of Egypt announced this week that the country was joining the new development bank created by the BRICS bloc. Egypt's cabinet approved during Wednesday's meeting, chaired by the prime minister, a draft decision from the president greenlighting an agreement to establish the new development bank affiliated to the BRICS bloc in Egypt's accession document to the bank.
I think people should be on high alert for BRICS because BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa, and China, obviously. So BRICS. Yeah. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And now they added Egypt to the party. So
okay,
there's a lot going on over there.
All right. So now we got quick little bullet point. I thought this was interesting. The Pentagon says no alien life is on Earth yet. The Pentagon said they have not been able to find any evidence that extraterrestrials may be responsible for the hundreds of UFO incidents they are reviewing, or that any alien beings may have crashed on Earth. Now, this is interesting because they have almost received thousands of reports of UFO sightings. So they basically came out and was just like, no, there's no alien life. And I find interesting that the Pentagon unveils its first strategic bomber in over 30 years to counter China. So they have this new nuclear capable B-21 Raider is set to become a key component in the U.S. efforts to match the Asian country's military buildup. Now, I'm going to put a picture up here. Now, if you look at this craft, this B-21, this looked like this could be a freaking UFO. I just found that interesting, because you have to test this somewhere. You know what I mean? They said this isn't just another airplane. The defense secretary said 50 years of advances in low observable technology have gone into this aircraft. Even the most sophisticated air defense systems will struggle to detect a B-21 in the sky. So that's some decent artillery that they have here.
This is stealth bomber for sure. So I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
They say you won't be able to detect that in the sky when that comes in. So
UFO aircraft when I see one. I know that much.
So I was looking at it, I'm like, man,
it look like something fresh out of cartoon. That's for sure.
Yeah, where would you test this at? And then, you know what I mean? You have to test it here in the sky, and people are going to see it, and they're like, oh, this is something I never saw before. It's a UFO, but
it could be Project Bluebeam in the works.
Right. So it's like people are gearing up. They're releasing these new aircrafts. You got Egypt joining BRICS. You got Biden and Gates. They're investing in Africa, want to get that up. You know, they want to take advantage of the population there. That's what it is. Africa has the people and Africa has the resources, and they all want to compete against China. Now, a catastrophic contagion. The WHO, John Hopkins, and Bill Gates take part in a simulated exercise for next pandemic. Now, the John Hopkins Center for Health Security joined the World Health Organization and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to conduct another pandemic tabletop exercise in Brussels, Belgium, on October 23rd, 2022. When a similar exercise had taken place in the past, it was followed by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns. Remarkably, the coronavirus process looked like tabletop exercises. They predicted an enterovirus originating in Brazil and dealt with lockdowns, masking, vaccine passports, and social distancing. The 2022 exercises were dubbed Catastrophic Contagion. The extraordinary group of participants consisted of 10 current and former health ministers and senior public health officials from Senegal, Nigeria, Liberia, Singapore, India, and Germany, as well as Bill Gates, co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Center of Health Security reports the participants simulated a reaction to the next pandemic with various exercises. Now, participants grapple with how to respond to an epidemic located in one part of the world that then spread rapidly, becoming a pandemic with a higher fatality rate than COVID-19 and disproportionately affecting children and young people. According to the participants, the lessons learned include more social engineering. Leaders must prepare now to make difficult, critical, important decisions with limited information in the early days of the next pandemic in order to increase the chances that a dangerous outbreak can be contained at the source. In the early days of a major new contagious disease epidemic, there could be a brief window of opportunity to stop it from becoming a pandemic. To successfully contain such an outbreak, decisive and bold action would need to be taken in the face of the incomplete data, high scientific uncertainty, and potential political resistance. Whoa. So basically, they ran this catastrophic contagion, is what they called it. They simulated an exercise basically for getting prepared for the next pandemic, if that was to happen. But each time they conducted something like this, a pandemic often followed after. And they're saying this could be a little more dangerous than the one we just had.
That's funny because there's a sickness going around the FIFA World Cup, and it's giving many of the athletes flu-like symptoms. But they can't tell you what it is. They're saying it's not, it's not the woohoo. But however, it is something going on over there in France, basically. That's where it started at. And it looks like it made its way over to the FIFA World Cup, but it looks like a couple of players have already turned up sick with this virus. They don't know what it's coming down to. So I think that's very interesting that something like that happened. I'm also sending you a clip from a TV show when they were basically talking about the same type of situation where they were like, oh, well, we're going to instill this sickness. And this is going to be way larger than the one previous. And on top of that, they mapped out how it's going to happen. They told them how it's going to happen. There's going to be a big event at some sort of World Cup or sports tournament. And at the sun, obviously, the roof will be open because obviously most events like this, they take place in an auditorium or a stadium where the roof is open. And they're going to spray over the top of it. And all the people in the stadium will become sick. And all those people.
Oh, you got to send that clip.
All those, I'm definitely sending it. And I'm detailing it right now. But when y'all watch it, pay attention. Because in this clip, they talk about how all the people that are sitting in this stadium come from around the world to watch this world event or this sports event, right? And all these people are going to go back home to their native lands where they come from. And when they go back to their native lands, they're going to go back with this sickness, which is going to do what? Spread. And that's going to make it easier for them to spread it around the world.
Is this an older TV show or a newer one?
Oh, it's new.
Is it?
Oh,
yeah, definitely got to send that. Definitely has to send that.
The big news of the day. So just, breaking news just a short time ago, before we came on the air from the Washington Post. Now, again, this is Jeff Bezos' Washington Post. Okay. Reporting that for the very first time, vaccinated people make up a majority of COVID deaths. This is the Washington Post headline just a short time ago. Vaccinated people now make up a majority of COVID deaths. That is the headline. And so I want to go a little deeper into this, which is I would say a bombshell story.
Yes, it is, but it's an analysis of data. They are just, I mean, under normal circumstances, they might post this as a bombshell story, but for the most part, it's just, here's the data, guys.
In 2015, the New York Attorney General investigated supplements at Walmart, Target, GNC, and Walgreens. They conducted lab analysis and discovered that 4 out of 5 products did not contain any of the herbs on their labels. The test showed that these pills labeled medicinal herbs often contain little more than just cheap fillers like powdered rice, asparagus, houseplants, and in some cases, substances that could be dangerous to those with allergies. At Walmart, they ran 90 DNA tests on 18 bottles. They found that only 4% of the time it actually matched what was on the label. At Target, they ran 90 tests on 18 bottles of herbal products, and they found that it only matched 41% of the time. At GNC, they ran 120 tests on bottles, and they found that it only matched 22% of the time. Finally, at Walgreens, they ran 90 tests on 18 bottles, and they found that it only matched 18% of the time. Supplements are definitely helpful for many people. However, it is critical to still make time for self-care, deep breathing, quality, real food, relax, and slow down your body. And remember, the supplement industry...
Before we move on to the UFO thing, the Unabomber. 21.
Yeah.
That's for you. So the first ever UFO sighting was actually March 1st, 1639. John Winthrop, who was the Massachusetts Bay Colony governor at the time, said that a few of his men were rowing on a boat on a muddy river, and they saw in the swampland, it was a tidal basin in the Charles River, when they saw a great light in the night sky. When it stood still, it flamed up, and it was about 3 yards square. The governor reported that when it ran, it was contracted to the figure of a swine. Over the course of 3 hours, the boatman said that the mysterious light ran as swift as an arrow, darting back and forth between them and the village of Charleston. A distance between approximately 2 miles, the diverse other credible persons saw that the same light after about the same place, which is what Winthrop added. Now, this is where it gets spooky, or this is where it gets very fun. So the governor also wrote, in the strange apparition finally faded away, the 3 Puritans in the boat were stunned that they found themselves 1 mile up the stream, as if the light had transported them there. For all my manifest people out there, y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, the men had no memory of them rowing up against the tide, although it's possible they could have just been carried by the wind or reverse tidal flow. The mysterious repositioning of the boat could suggest that they were unaware of a part of their experience. Some researchers would interpret this as a possible alien abduction. And if it had been written today, that's exactly what it had been called. Now, what's funny is this was in March 1st, 1639. Now, ironically, 4 years later, January 18th, 1644, also in Winthrop's diary, he wrote about midnight, 3 men coming back on a boat to Boston saw 2 lights arise out of the water near the north port of the town cove in a form like a man, and went at a small distance into the town and back and forth to the south, and there he vanished away. Make your own depictions about that if you want to. And we're talking about the 1600s. This is what they was writing about. And this ain't up for debate. This is on National Geographic History channel.com. So,
man.
And this came straight out the diary of Jonathan Winthrop.
Yeah, you have to send me some clips to a shot of that too. We can put that up there so people can be able to do research. And this is the thing, guys. Yeah, we encourage you all to look up what we're speaking to you all about with this information. That's why we provide you all the links, and we want to show proof so you all can know what's going on in the world, and just to be aware. I found something extremely interesting that I do want to. Michigan Senate leader warns of push for one world governance in farewell speech. Michigan Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey, a Republican from Clark Lake, used his farewell address Wednesday to warn of forces that he says will challenge the very fabric of our freedoms, independence, and our sovereignty, our values, and even our God-given rights. Shirkey's speech, which lasted about 35 minutes, relitigated his past battles with Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer over combating the pandemic, and referenced him sticking his hand into a Senate toilet to check the water temperature. Now, the remarks were laced with theories about threats Shirkey sees involving the World Economic Forum, central banks, artificial intelligence, climate change, child sacrifice, and trans, whatever we can concoct.
Whoa.
We are witnessing second Timothy chapter 3 before our very eyes, Shirky told his colleagues. COVID was a test. These next challenges will be much more than a test. The chapter of the Bible begins, but mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. Shirky said there's a push to achieve one world governance, one world religion, one world healthcare, one world currency, and one world control. Lawmakers who are leaving office in Michigan traditionally give farewell addresses. Shirky's speech came on what was expected to be the last session day of voting of 2022. Now, after his speech, Democrats noted the unusual nature of Shirky's comments on social media. So they were getting on Twitter like, wow, that was weird, and, making a joke out of it. But here you have this man who in his farewell addresses, he said that there would be a push to achieve a one world governance, a one world religion, a one world healthcare, and a one world currency, and one world control. And again, this guy's name is Mike Shirky, and it was his farewell speech. He was a Michigan Senate leader.
Wow. You think it's getting real?
Listen, I'm looking at everything that they're trying to put in place, that they're trying to put in the ground. So they are trying to put a digital currency in the ground, right? Mm-hmm. There are different kind of viruses starting to come around. They are saying you have to get like global passports now, and certain laws where right is wrong and wrong is currently right. It's like we're living in a different reality now, and I can't say exactly like what it is because we'll never know the day of the hour, but I do know that this world is changing. I don't think we're going to ever get back to the times that we were in, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think those times are long gone. So, guys, you get a chance, look it up. This gentleman's name is Mike Shirky.
It's funny because, one world government was predicted in the Bible, obviously in Daniel and Revelations, Daniel chapter 13, verse 1. And then you have Revelations 13, 1. Then you have Daniel chapter 7, verse 16 through 24. And then again in Daniel chapter 2, 41 through 42. So those are some things that y'all should dig into. Definitely look into. Before we continue, I got one for you. Let me just throw a curveball at y'all real quick. So we got a Utah Republican senator named Mike Lee. He has proposed legislation that will officially ban obscenity as it relates to free speech in a movie or a move that would basically essentially make the internet pornography illegal in the U.S. So the legal proposes, he says, obscenity is one of the few types of speech that cannot be protected by the First Amendment and blocked from the interstate and foreign transmission by current federal law. According to the one-page explanation by the Utah senator, the new legislation would modify the Miller Jest, a U.S. Supreme Court precedent from 1973, which set away by defining material as sexual or obscenity content affecting the pertinent interest precedent by an earlier SCOTUS ruling. Now, prurient means that something either has or encourages an excessive interest in sexual matters. The Miller tested ruled that the average American would find content that appeals to the prurient interest. It is considered obscene. And when announcing his bill, he said that he has struggled to define obscenity as it relates to free speech, and the internet presents serious challenges to the Miller test. Now, Lee's proposed legislation, the Interstate Obscenity Definition Act, would use federal law speech for free speech guidelines to make the content that has taken a free speech or a whole appeal to the pertinent interest in nudity, sex, or excretion, or depicts, describes, or represents an actual or simulated sexual act with the extreme or the object intent to arouse, titillate, or gratify the sexual desires of a person, or when it taken as a whole lacks serious literacy, artistic, political, and scientific value, or as obscene. So, long story short, this man wants to get rid of porn, and I ain't mad at him. He thinks it's a detriment to the children. This is all he's doing. All of this basically in the, let me see here. He is doing this in a effort to try to strengthen the children. He wants to shield children from online pornography.
Okay.
And I ain't mad at him. Because it ain't just the children that needs to be shielded from it.
Adults too.
Adults as well. Adults as well. Y'all need, so listen, he's coming for all my OnlyFans out there, all my Twitter, my content creators, you sexual deviants, you heathens. He's on your behind. He's coming for you. And hopefully, I don't know the details of this bill, but if this is all that the bill entails and he just wants to do this, just gets rid of porn, I'm for it. I'm all for it. I think we should take a dive into this. I think I might be able to get behind this Utah senator. So keep an eye out for Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee. We have to keep an eye on this brother.
For sure.
What he got going.
So now we have Nigeria restricts ATM withdrawals to $45 per day and push to digital currency. Nigeria will soon begin restricting ATM withdrawals to just $45 per day as a push to move the country toward a cashless economy. Now, the policy, which will also apply to banks and cashbacks from purchases, follows the launch of the West African nation newly designed currency notes to control the money supply. The Central Bank of Nigeria limited weekly over-the-counter cash withdrawals to 100,000 naira, which is in our currency $225 for individuals, and $500,000 naira, which in our currency is $1,100 for corporations. So for individuals, $225, and for corporations, basically $1,100, with a processing fee required to access more. When the policy takes effect in January, ATMs will no longer dispense Nigeria's high denominations. Withdrawals from ATM and point of sale terminals also will be limited to 20,000 naira daily, which is $45 daily. So they're saying the terminals, they're saying the withdrawals from ATMs and point of sale terminals also will be limited to 20,000 naira, which is $45 daily. Policymakers say the withdrawal limits and recent monetary initiatives from the central bank would bring more people into the banking system and curb currency hoarding, illicit flows, and inflation.
Okay. Well, listen, hey, listen, this party about to get started.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
We was talking about BRICS earlier. Listen, it's about to get started, man. The question is what are you going to do?
That's exactly what it looks like.
What are you going to do about it? What you going to do? What you going to do when you wake up and the government tell us that we can't spend no more than $300? Think I'm lying. They already talking about taxing y'all for the $600 transactions over Cash App. So think it's a game out here.
Or telling us we can only get $45 a day at the ATM.
Huh? What you going to do about that?
Like, come on now. How are they giving you? How do they know what you can live on daily?
Speaking of this, this ties into the social credit score. I found out the other day that certain government jobs will run your credit as a part of your application process.
Now, I've heard that before.
I've never heard of that.
I've heard that before.
I've worked in some high prestigious jobs that requires a lot of government clearance.
And they don't let you know.
They've never asked. They didn't let me know. They ain't never ran my credit. Never. They're running your credit for a job, and it seems like if you got a low credit score, you got a lot of debt. They ain't even giving you. They won't even consider your application because they consider you a liability under their, infrastructure, under their business. They consider you a liability because all this money I'm getting, you ain't gonna do nothing but go into debt, squandering it. You got bad spending habits. Think about that. Next time you trying to go out and you think your credit don't mean nothing. There's jobs out here that'll turn you down for your spending habits. Think social media is something. Woof. That right there put a dent in a lot of prestigious workers. Because, a lot of people out here making a lot of good money nowadays. And a lot of these people have a lot of good debt with this good money. So pay attention to stuff like that. That's wild to me. I think that's, I felt like they was infringing on the, I thought they was, infringing on the, the constitutional rights right there. Running my credit score to determine if I'm worthy of working a job or not. Dang, I might need this job to come up to bring my credit score up. I need this job to get out of debt. That's like,
exactly.
That's like asking somebody, that's like hiring somebody with no experience. Somebody come in, they fresh out the school, fresh out of college or fresh out of high school or whatever, and they ain't got no experience. And you telling them you want somebody with 5 years experience. Then why you give them an interview? They ain't got no experience. What you give them an interview for? I need experience. And this their first job ever.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And so as we're staying on this whole credit and digital currency, so we just got off the Nigeria basically saying that you can only withdraw a certain amount of money.
Egypt joining BRICS.
Daily. Egypt joining BRICS, and now in India, as in the case of paper currency, the digital rupee in India will be distributed through banks. Currently, 4 banks have been selected: State Bank of India, the ICICI Bank, the IDFC First Bank, and the Yes Bank. Users must have a digital wallet through a participating bank, which will be stored on their mobile phone or other electronic device. Payments to merchants can be made using QR codes displayed at merchant locations. These 4 banks are expected to invite merchants and customers who would be part of the pilot project in the coming weeks, which will help to build an ecosystem. Granted, everybody keeps saying it's going to build up the ecosystem. Now, it is expected that the digital rupee will eventually replace the use of currency notes. The pilot project will be implemented in 13 cities in India. The digital currency will have denominations like regular currency and will also have images with serial numbers.
What on earth what does paper money and digital currency have to do with the economy? Or the ecosystem, I should say.
Hey, more.
What the hell?
If they go digital, they know for sure they get more control.
No, absolutely. And this is just sick, man.
But check this out. Now listen, hear this. Now, in regards to this whole banking thing, right? I found an article about a list of bank closures that's coming next year. Right? And it is so many banks. I'm like, yo, why is all these banks closing? So here's a full list of bank closures coming in 2023. Now, I'm not going to go through all the list of every single individual bank that's closing, but I will say
Lloyd's and Barclays. That's deep.
Yeah, I will say, I am going to say the name. So Lloyd's is closing 14 banks next year, while NatWest currently has 43 scheduled to shut their doors forever. The Barclays will shut 11 sites in 2023. Santander and Halifax will shut 5 each, and nationwide will close 1. So Lloyd will be closing 14 banks in 2023. Halifax is going to be closing 5 banks. NatWest is going to be closing 43 banks. Now, on this website, they also give their location and of where they are. Looks like a good amount of. I'm looking at one, which is
Nationwide is on your side.
NatWest. Looks like a good majority of them are like in England. I haven't heard of NatWest over here, but Santander is shutting 5 banks. Okay. You got HSBC. They are going to be shutting 114 banks.
All these banks closing down, and y'all don't think it's no conspiracy? I ain't gonna say conspiracy. Y'all don't think nothing going on?
Nationwide has 1 bank closure scheduled so far for 2023. Wow, it's a lot of these banks in England. And Barclays is shutting down 11 banks in 2023.
Nationwide is on your side.
And so,
they shutting down. Ooh, they get ready to they get this party start. Hey, listen, I kind of like that. Let's see. I want to see what y'all allegiance like. Y'all pray to the Lord one day. Y'all think it's a game out here. Y'all keep not believing. Y'all keep not believing in the grace of God.
Amen.
Game out here, man. They ain't playing with you folks. They talking about cutting down banks out here. They chopping down trees left and right. They chopping down banks, talking about they want to save the economy, save the ecosystem or whatever they want to call it. Man, they can get out of here. Digital currency.
The last economic reset occurred in 1944 with the creation of the Bretton Woods system. The US dollar replaced the pound sterling as the new world reserve currency and was convertible to gold at a fixed rate of $35 an ounce. Nations of the world entrusted the Federal Reserve Bank to hold their gold in return for market liquidity. This trust was good up until President de Gaulle of France pointed out that the United States was printing more money than they had in gold reserves to pay for the war in Vietnam, and in 1971 sent a warship to New York demanding their gold back. Days later, President Nixon took the world off the gold standard altogether, allowing the war machine to print endless amounts of US dollars. In 1974, the United States offers use of its war machine to Saudi Arabia in return for their oil to be sold exclusively with US dollars. This becomes known as the petrodollar and ushers in a new era of endless warfare. Andy Schechtman of Miles Franklin has been trading precious metals for over 30 years and lays out the evidence that the world is going back to a gold standard. In 2017, Germany's Bundesbank made headlines when they demanded the return of their physical gold by 2020. Within weeks, the Bank of Austria, the Bank of Hungary, the Bank of Turkey, the Czech National Bank, and the Bank of Poland all quietly began repatriating their gold as well and began buying more. These banks bought more in 2018 than they had bought in the last 60 years combined, and they doubled that the next year. In 2019, the Bank for International Settlements classifies gold as a Tier 1 reserve, rivaling the US dollar for the first time in 80 years. In 2020, the International Monetary Fund publicly announces a shift towards a new system to replace Bretton Woods. Also that year, a new major buyer suddenly appears, anonymously labeled as Other, and begins draining the COMEX and London Metals Exchange of precious metals to an extent never seen before. In August of 2021, Saudi Arabia signs a military cooperation agreement with Russia, directly challenging the U.S. petrodollar agreement. This is immediately followed by the U.S. military's abrupt departure from Afghanistan. In 2022, Russian banks were removed from the SWIFT system. This weaponization of the banking system inspired a massive sell-off of U.S. treasuries, as Russia and China announce a new commodity-backed world reserve currency. Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and Iran begin selling oil to China for bonds that are immediately convertible to gold. BRICS membership is now nearing 9% of the world population, and all these countries are dramatically expanding their gold reserves. China's Belt and Road Initiative is moving towards connecting nearly 3/4 of the world population into its centralized system with the digital Chinese yuan. And the US government is left holding a bill they can't pay and a war machine they can't afford. The US Mint is making it difficult for citizens to buy gold and silver, as if they want everyone at their mercy when it all goes to zero. Their only solution seems to be total control. This is at least one of the reasons why Elon's Twitter files are spread out like a Netflix series. To keep
digital currency ain't got nothing to do with the ecosystem. It ain't got nothing to do with what's going on in the air. It ain't got nothing to do with the food you eat or nothing like that. But it will when it comes to purchasing it.
And so
see, act like you don't want to get down with the program. Let me before we jump on, because the QR code thing is mighty strange to me.
Oh yeah, for the
So for my people out there that don't know, I've been on a trip. You know what I'm saying? I've been down in the dirty in Texas, where they get busy for real, where the money's really at, where the money resides. Yeah. Okay. And the whole time I was there, a lot of the stuff that I had to do for my business purposes down there required me to download a QR scanner. Now, I've never had this on my phone because I've never had to use it. I know what it is. I know how to use it. I just don't do it because I don't have no need for it.
Yeah.
The whole time I was there, I had no choice but to do it. If I wasn't scanning QR codes, there was no moving forward in the process.
Like what?
Like when I showed up, you know what I'm saying? Like when I showed up, I ain't gonna tell y'all what's going on, but Myra know what I'm talking about. When I showed up to the building, the first thing I had to do was scan the QR code to get in the building. Then while I was in the building, I was, spending, certain people's money. Those people's money that I was spending, I had to scan a QR code every day in order to re-up on that money. On top of that, majority of the things that I had to do required a QR code far as plans, courses, things of that nature and things like that. Everything was QR coded.
It's like they're slowly getting us used to a digital currency, because that's basically what you're going to be doing.
And the whole time I was there, no cash, $250 a day, no cash. All of it was on a card. And in order to use this card, you had to use a QR code to activate the card every day.
Oh, that's what you're doing. Oh yeah. You did. That's digital currency.
Oh, I know all about it. That's why I said y'all everything. Game out here. Y'all better pray to the Lord.
Yeah. That's what that is. Wow. Woo. And they're listen,
hot for speed. Just
they're bringing it upon us without even saying it. It's like they say it's coming in the future, but they're already using it now. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're just not saying it, but they're using it now.
So yes, for all y'all out there that think it's a game or nothing like that, for those that know me and know what I've been doing, know that QR code and this digital currency was 100% full all throughout this trip.
So now you got the Bank of America warns the U.S. economy will start to lose 175,000 jobs a month during quarter one of 2023. Now, the latest report shows that the U.S. labor market is in a decent shape, but Bank of America sees trouble looming in the distance. So in October, a total non-farm payroll employment rose by 261,000, beating economists' expectation of 200,000 increase. It also means that America's job growth is heading the right direction. But Bank of America, however, expects a non-farm payroll gains to be cut in half in Q4 of 2022. So right now we're in Q4 and turn negative in 2023. During the first quarter of 2023, the bank projects that the U.S. will be losing roughly 175,000 jobs a month, and it's not the labor market that's going to take a hit. We are looking for a recession to begin half of next year. Bank of America ahead of Bank of America's head of U.S. economics, Michael Gapin, told CNN. Let me repeat that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I bank with Bank of America. You know,
so they're saying that they're saying it's really about to go down. So a lot of people have been hinting that we're already in a recession. Yeah. So we're already in a recession now, and they're saying things are going to get worse. What are we heading into?
Well, the thing is that people got to understand there's a process. So first there's a recession, and the recession is before a depression. So if they're saying we're in a recession now,
they haven't said it. They say we're headed for.
I know they're not saying it. They're not saying it.
Yeah.
We the people know, you know, especially if you paying taxes and you making any kind of money, you know we're in a recession with inflation and everything like that. And what's the next step after a recession? The depression. So if they're saying we're headed towards a recession next year, to me, they're saying that from a standpoint of $100,000 and better. So if a people making $100,000 or the middle class, as you want to call it, if they're looking at being in a recession next year and people making under that kind of money is already in a recession, what does that tell me? That means people who are under that. So first of all, people that are in that tax bracket are going to be in a recession, but people under that are going to be in a depression next year. 175,000 jobs is one thing. 175,000 jobs a month.
That's total different.
People. Hold on, wait.
What I'm saying is that are there more job closures coming?
Yes.
You know how Facebook and Meta and Twitter and Amazon just had massive layoffs. Now this is crazy because these are companies that grossed in billions during the pandemic.
Yes.
And then
they're still making money. Amazon ain't losing no money. They still making money.
But they're doing all these layoffs right before Christmas and the New Year. It seemed like this is when you need the people. Something is shaking up.
Now, that's crazy. Like you said, Amazon and all these companies are laying people off. And we're looking at a recession, as they call it, on the way. 175,000 jobs a month. That's a lot. I mean, one time I used to tell Myron Desi all the time at one point, and I tell my granny and them there too. At some point in time, we only gonna have two options to go to work. You either gonna work at Walmart or Amazon. That's gonna be your only two. They're gonna be your only two options of work. Now, 175,000 jobs a month. That sounds like we're headed somewhere. And I tell you another thing.
These banks closing up.
Have you been getting your mail on time?
I haven't paid attention. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't.
Okay, this is a question for the people. Have y'all been getting your mail on time? Because I haven't. And the last time I saw my mailman, because I actually know my mailman, I went to school with him. Last time I spoke to him, I said, dang, man, the mail ain't come yesterday. What happened? You know what he told me?
They short on people.
Short on people.
Yeah.
All my life. I got a couple people that work at the post office. Dang, it ain't like they short on the checks. Think about that. It ain't like the post office short on checks. You still got people working at gas stations at McDonald's. So how does the
they are short because they're sending people like from one city to help deliver mail in another city. Yeah. Like from
it's part of work. They still paying you hourly.
Yeah. But I've never heard of a postal shortage before.
Think about that. It's not even the fact that it's a postal shortage. It's a postal shortage during the time where they're paying people. That's the thing. The post office start off at like what, $19, $20, right?
Yeah.
And then they can't find work. Yeah, you got people out here working at gas stations and McDonald's and Walmart and stuff, but the post office can't find no work. You got people out here getting laid off from Amazon and the post office can't find no work.
It's gonna get there, man. Hey, getting there.
I think it's a game out here if y'all want to. And you think that's by coincidence if you want to. Don't come out here and tell, they should pay more people and maybe people will work. No. You got people, like I said, working at gas stations and regular $12 an hour jobs. You telling me they can't get hired at the post office or they ain't even trying to? Now, is this by choice or is this by coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence.
Or design. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
By design.
Yeah.
Pay attention out here, man.
So we got a new controversial truck tax begins in January. Out in Hartford, Connecticut, starting January 1st, companies will have to start paying a mileage fee for their tractor trailers. The new tax is called a highway use fee, and it's only for heavy tractor trailers. There are now signs at rest areas all along state highways reminding drivers and companies to register their vehicles. Because Connecticut doesn't have tolls, this is a way to collect revenue by charging a tax based on mileage.
Yeah.
It's $120 to go over the bridge in New York. So Connecticut charging the fee is causing goods to go up. It's a non-essential argument, said Rep. Matt Ritter, Democratic House Speaker. Lawmakers, mainly Democrats, passed legislations more than a year ago to put this tax in place. Mm-hmm. We thought it was a good policy. It's going to help pay for our roads and bridges from trucks that do the most damage, said Rep. Ritter. Yeah. Supporters say these heavy trucks do the most damage and the money will help repair and maintain the highways. But trucking groups say it's discriminatory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here, before you jump in, now, supporters say that these heavy trucks do the most damage and the money will help repair and maintain highways. So I just see messed up highways and stuff all the time, and they get money and they never do it. So I wonder, since they are going to do this tax, is this what this money is really going to be used for? And and how bad are Connecticut highways and streets?
No, absolutely. I'm with you. I remember when Cardi B was talking about, she got taxed for $1 million. She was like, hell, they talk about the taxes going to clean up the streets. We got rats bigger than cats out here. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I'm with you. I want to know if this, first of all, I heard about this bill when they first passed it through the Democrats. I remember when they first passed it, I was looking to get into trucking now. First and foremost, this is for heavy duty equipment. So we're talking 18 wheelers. And I remember when, because obviously I was trying to get into trucking myself. Now, this is heavy duty equipment and things like that. First and foremost, I do want to know, will this pertain? Because it says trucks with flatbeds. So I want to know, does that pertain to 25,000 and under? Because obviously I'm looking at it from a hot shot perspective. On my pickup truck hot shotters out there, I don't think you're going to be affected by this. However, there is something in the works to tax hot shot truckers as well. Now, I don't know what the name of that bill is going to be, and we don't even know if that's going to pass, but that's what a lot of hotshot truckers are looking forward to coming down the pipeline, is that if they're going to start taxing truckers with 18-wheelers and things like that, LLCs and all those, it's coming down the pipeline for hot shotters as well. Now, the next thing would be is box trucks are going to be affected by this as well, because if the trucking industry starts to plummet due to these taxes things and people just getting out of it because it's just not worth it anymore, they're not going to make the money they used to. Next up in line would be the hot shot truckers, who would be next in line to make the money with their flatbeds. But if they start getting taxed as well, then we shut them down. Obviously, next up would be the box truckers. And if the box truckers are getting taxed with the same stipulation in this tax, what does that leave us with? Again, $175,000 jobs, 175,000 jobs a month. You know what I'm saying? Can you see what I'm getting at right now? So if we're taking out the trucking industry, those would be part of those 175,000 jobs being taken away. And on top of that, what are you going to replace these jobs with? Because if there's trucking jobs are not there, who's moving the weight? Who's moving the freight? Who's moving the goods? Who's moving the produce and things of that nature? Who's going to be moving that around? Now, everybody keeps talking about these self-driving electric trucks and things of that nature, but they're still 5 to 6 years apart from even thinking about even putting that in putting those in rotation. So I think it's something that a lot of people should pay attention to, especially when it comes to what you said, goods going up. Produce, the main thing that you should look to go up is produce. Fruits and vegetables will go up because fruits and vegetables are mainly shipped state to state and things of that nature. A lot of meats come from within those states because we know the main 4 companies that are basically in control of the meat, they got places in every state. So the meat's not being pushed around as much as produce and vegetables. Now, obviously, but fruits and vegetables are being pushed around all throughout the country. And if the taxing is going to start levying on these 18-wheelers that are moving this fruit and produce, not only does that make the fruits and vegetables go up, but What is it going to do for the people that they start to shut down? Is there going to be a shortage on produce? Are we looking at a fruits and vegetable shortage coming down the pipeline soon? So that's something that, when I heard that, that's the first thing that came to my mind is, wait a minute, what's going to start happening here? Because it's not going to just be foods either. We're talking about shoes, clothes, basically anything that you can get your hands on, anything that's in service. All of this that you see right now, everything that you use in your daily operation and your daily living style will start to go up in price. And that's going to obviously conclude or add to the inflation. So we should definitely stay on this and pay attention to what's about to happen with this tax bill and how it's going to affect, because this just says Connecticut now. But if it works in Connecticut, then you can expect this to go through all 52 or however many states there is in the United States. You can look for this to go federal. This is going to be everywhere.
Facts. Now we got Gates and Bezos invest $75 million in brain chip implant company. After announcing that it had implanted its brain-computer interface in its first U.S. paralysis patient earlier this year, Synchron has raised $75 million to take its mind-reading tech to the next level. The company's Series C financing, led by Arch Venture Partners, also drew investments from Bill Gates' personal investment fund, Gates Frontier, as well as Jeff Bezos Expeditions. Synchron's raised $40 million last year toward the goal of connecting tiny electrodes to the brain by threading them through the body's blood vessels with no skull drilling required. Dubbed the Stentroid approach, the company hopes the implants can one day restore communication among paralyzed patients and even help them text, email, or shop online. The problem of paralysis is much larger than people realize, Synchron founder and CEO Tom Oxley said in its release. 100 million people worldwide have upper limb impairment.
When Elon Musk first introduced his Neuralink situation brain chip on Joe Rogan, he said that the main idea from this came from, I believe it was his father or someone close to him that had Alzheimer's, and that he wanted to help them with their Alzheimer's and help all Alzheimer's patients by implementing this brain chip that would basically slow down the process of Alzheimer's by, like you said, connecting electrons and things like that, basically connecting the dots between your body and your brain, making sure that your brain doesn't slow down and start to lose memory. In fact, it will retain more memory by retaining your memory in this chip.
Now, what's weird?
This is deep.
What was weird to me is that to sell these brain chips, I've heard Elon Musk says the same thing. They use the golden marketing tool of paralyzed patients.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, so is that the only thing you're making this brain chip for? So is the only people that's going to be able to get this chip paralyzed patients?
No. So Musk said he wanted it for, it'd be for a prestigious class of people with high earning money that would be able to afford these chips. But
what I'm saying is that each one with the brain chips, they're saying, oh, it's going to help people that's paralyzed, and you'll be able to think faster and stuff like that. And same thing with that's what I'm saying. Same thing with Elon Musk said. Oh, okay, if you're paralyzed, it can restore your cell. That's what you're saying. So are these only going to be for these patients? No. Absolutely. You're making it so everybody who can afford it, or what y'all want to do with the agenda, whatever, is going to be able to get it. Well, now, my thing about the Alzheimer's is that I'm sure as much if people can make brain chips and all this technology we have, they know the cause of Alzheimer's, but they need Alzheimer's to continue because you make more money when you're just finding different solutions, whether stopping everything at the root of the problem.
As every other sickness in the world.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So,
and things like that, like you said, the whole them using paralyzed patients. First and foremost, it's a way for them to try to introduce it. Oh, we're testing it out on people with Alzheimer's and paralyzed patients, and people welcome it. Like, yes, we need those chips. I'm gonna get a chip for my dad, my mom, my grandma. Wake up and realize that what they just said. They said that they are testing on paralyzed patients. These are people who can't move. These are people who have, no movement in their ligaments. They're testing it out on these people. Yeah, they said they had implanted its brain-computer interface in its first U.S. paralysis patient earlier this year. Synchron did. Like, come on now. And you think it's for the betterment of the good. At least that's how they sold it to you anyway.
So now we have artificial womb. We got filmmaker and biotechnologist Hashim Al-Ghali, I think that's how you pronounce his name, have created the technology which would allow women who have had their uterus removed to procreate, while also reducing premature births and combating population declines, reports the Daily Mail. Running on renewable energy, the facility plans to house 75 labs, each equipped with up to 400 growth pods or artificial wombs, reports the media outlet. The pods are designed to replicate the real-life conditions of the mother's womb and include sensors that monitor the baby's vitals like a heartbeat, temperature, and oxygen saturation. Now, Ectolife aims to grow up to 30,000 babies a year inside its birthing pods.
Yes.
Now, Al-Ghali says the concept is based on 50 years of groundbreaking scientific research conducted by researchers worldwide. And such birthing pods could be widespread in just decades from now. Wow. The Daily Mail reports Al-Ghali believes that artificial womb facilities could become a reality in 10 years if ethical restrictions are removed. According to the report, an elite package would allow people to genetically engineer the embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb. Also, parents can select their baby's level of intelligence, height, hair, eye color, physical strength, and skin tone. Every single feature mentioned in the concept is 100% science-based and has already been achieved by scientists and engineers. The only thing left is building a prototype by combining all the features into a single device. Al-Ghali claims the artificial womb facility can help countries facing the problem of declining population. In terms of time frame, it depends on the ethical guidelines. Right now, research on human embryos is not allowed beyond 14 days. After 14 days, embryos must be destroyed due to ethical concerns, he added.
So,
wow.
First of all this talk about population control and that there are too many people in the population, yet they're coming up with this artificial womb facility to articulate children from birth. And what you're talking about is actually noted as the deluxe package. So with the deluxe luxury package, that's where those.
Which one?
Where you could pick the strength, eyes, color, things of that nature. That's what but that comes as a package.
Yeah, because they also said in here it's a elite package as well.
There you go. There you go.
That's elite package will allow people to genetically engineer the embryo before
I don't think you just finna buy no artificial womb baby and start creating, build a baby. No, ain't gonna be none of that. You got to pay the extra dollars to get the deluxe model elite package in order to. Now my biggest issue here is,
I gotta pay to get the deluxe.
I gotta be honest with you, man. My biggest issue here is the same thing that's been on my agenda since the start of the whole transhumanism thing. We've got money for we got money for sex changes. We got money for war, all kinds of things.
Birthing pods.
We've got money for birthing pods. We've got money for elite packaged embryos.
Mm-hmm.
But not one person wants to address the fact of trying to figure out how they can get women pregnant past the age of 40. No one wants to address the idea of how to keep men fertile or sterilized, things like that. They're not trying to figure out none of this. They just want to just start creating babies from birth.
Well, wait a second. Hold on. Women can still be fertile after 40.
I mean, you know what I mean, though.
If it's like...
No. You know what I'm getting at, though. You can't find a way to keep women fertile. You can't find a way for men to stay fertile after a certain age.
Yeah, because the older you get, especially with women, when you get to close to your menopause,
you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Yeah. So you can't fix that. But you can build a baby from nothing, from scratch. And shouts out to our brother, One Foul Wow, on TikTok. Make sure y'all go follow One Foul Wow, because we're going to post this video. I got to send it to you. Because he actually showed how they were doing this back in the old Tartarian days. And they had already had facilities like this. There are actually newspapers documenting how they used to have a cornfield full of babies that were basically genetically engineered.
Wow.
Huh? So this ain't nothing new. That's why they said this has already been done. They're absolutely right. This has been done way back in the day. So
and
this ain't nothing new.
They're just waiting on those ethics laws to be moved.
Pay attention, folks. Pay attention. You talking about the aliens and everything like that? Be on the lookout for these little cyborgs running around. I said what I said. They ain't humans. They're little cyborgs. Them ain't no humans. Okay? They ain't no human DNA. They ain't coming from a woman's womb. That's coming from something artificial, man-made. God made the woman to have the womb to have the child. So if it ain't coming from a woman's womb, then that's coming from a man-made thing. And the Bible told you don't be so concerned. God told you don't be so concerned about man's philosophy. And that's coming from a man's philosophy. That's a man-made thing right there. So pay attention to these little cyborgs running around. You want to talk about, hey, these are the aliens that we need to be talking about. They talking about population control and how it's too many people on the earth and we need to get rid of a certain population of people, but you want to start building people from scratch. And on top of 151 and everything I mentioned, make sure you go to Netflix and watch Altered Carbon with that brain chip about Elon Musk and the rest of them. I'm sorry, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos getting in it as well. Pay attention to these things that's going on. Because like I said, Altered Carbon television show, Tartarian government, things that happened in the past, coming back to the future. All of this has been done before. And as they say, if you want to learn about the future and the present, you have to learn the past. Pay attention.
Wow. So
it's going down out here, man.
Oh, for sure. So we got the G20 leaders issued a joint declaration at the end of the summit advocating for a universal standard on proof of vaccination for international travel and urging the creation of global digital health networks to strengthen prevention and response to future pandemics. Now, the declaration comes after the health minister of Indonesia advocated for a global digital health certificate during the B20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. Speaking to the crowd, they said, let's have a digital health certificate acknowledged by the WHO. If you have been vaccinated or tested properly, then you can move around. So for the next pandemic, instead of stopping the movement of the people 100%, which collapsed the economy globally, you can still provide some movement of the people. He went on to say that an agreement to have this digital certificate using the WHO standards had been reached between the G20 countries and Indonesia. Now, the G20 is a summit of the world's major economies. Its members are responsible for more than 80% of the world's gross domestic product, 75% of global trade, and 60% of world's total population. The G20 is made of 19 countries and the European Union. Now, again, a hint, they said they are responsible for 80% of the world's gross domestic product and 75% of global trade and 60% of the world's total population.
Ooh. First of all, when we say WHO, World Health Organization, for my people out there that don't know. Second of all, this is big.
Yes.
He want a certificate so you can travel. Now they're saying so you can travel out the country. If this is passed, we both know, and we ain't gonna say we both because I gotta talk to my people out there. We all know that this ain't finna be just about no world travel. This is gonna be about travel moving from state to state, gate to gate, okay?
Maybe to come out your house, depending on
gate to gate.
People in China can come out their house.
That's why I was just gonna get you. That's why I said gate to gate. You got people over there in China still can't come out the house. What you mean? They locking people in the house. Think I'm lying? This ain't no conspiracy. This ain't no joke. Look it up. Look it up online. They just started showing what's going on in China on CNN. That's how long it's been going on. Even CNN had to get on. They talking about a certificate to show that you've been properly vaccinated and that you are currently up to date with your health shots and things of that nature. A vaccination proof of something that's not even proven to actually work out here in these streets. And when I say actually work out here in these streets, why were you getting vaccinated in the first place? Why were you getting it? Because you wanted to try to avoid getting what was going on or what was being spread around the world. But it's been proven that even the people that's, vaccinated are getting it.
They say they make up for most of the deaths, I believe.
I was just going to get to
that got the jab.
I was just going to say, most of the people that's died are people that were properly certificated. I ain't going to say it. Yeah, I'm going to stop saying the V word. They were certificated. Most of my people out here with that certificate has already passed away, unfortunately. Rest their souls, Lord. But This is something that a lot of people need to pay attention to, because like I said, this ain't gonna be no world thing, or you just can't leave the country unless you have your certificate. No, like I said, state to state, gate to gate, you might not even be able to make it out the house without this certificate. Your dang show ain't gonna be able to shop in stores. And if you think I'm lying, what was going on during the pandemic? There were certain stores you couldn't even go into, grocery stores, bars,
when clubs. You sat down to eat, they asked you, hey, we sat down to eat and order a burger, they ask you, hey, have you been?
Got that?
Did you get the juice?
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah. Let me see your paperwork. Remember in New York, they were stopping people from eating in New York, California, these places, LA. They were stopping people from eating.
You had to show the papers, places. Man.
You had to show that paperwork.
I remember at work, they say, just in case you get pulled over, here are papers. Like, I'm like, wow, really?
It's let them know that you're an essential worker.
Like, we got to get papers to let people know while we're out on the road. That is major control right there. They almost had us, man. They almost had us.
They had us. I ain't gonna say all.
Like they enjoyed that so much where they say, you know what? We got to go to the table, re-strategize, and we'll get them this time. That was too much control for them.
Yeah, I don't even want to say they almost had us. They had us, and they had us so good. They said, "Let us calm down. Let's calm down. Let it sit."
Yeah, well, people start waking up like, wait a second, I can't go work out.
Yeah, let me marinate on this for a minute. Like you said, let's go back to the drawing board. So next time we come back at them, it ain't finna be up for debate. Y'all gonna know it's real.
So we got the FDA approves the lab-grown meat for the first time. It says for the first time, the Food and Drug Administration is giving the green light to meat grown in a laboratory. The agency said in a notice on Wednesday that a cultivated chicken product made by Upside Food is safe to eat. The FDA evaluated the information submitted to the agency and has no further questions at this time about the firm's safety conclusion, the agency stated. This is a watershed moment in the history of food, the CEO and founder of Berkeley, California-based company said in a statement. U.S. consumers will soon have the chance to eat delicious meat that's grown directly from animal cells. The cells from a single chicken allow for the cultivation of the same amount of poultry that now comes from hundreds of thousands of farm birds, according to his company. Although the agency found Upside Foods chicken safe to eat, the product is not approved to be sold. Upside's remaining hurdles before it can take its product to the market involves the U.S. Department of Agriculture and its Food Safety and Inspection Service.
I like how they just put that out there like, oh, they're going to finally be a chance for you to finally enjoy delicious gourmet meat grown from animal cells. Hey man, listen, you know the old saying, don't be on my head and tell me it's raining, boy. They get busy, don't they? Man, called it delicious.
They out here moving. And working.
Hey, listen, we gotta put the clip up. Shout out to our brother Cat Williams, who warned us several years ago about the clone meat that was gonna be in the store on the shelf cheaper than the regular meat. Mm-hmm. And like he said, people gonna be out here buying this clone meat, and next thing you know, your child gonna be growing horns out here, and you don't wonder why he mooing. When
I think that's where we head. I think most of our meat gonna be clone meat. It's gonna be this. I think most of it is.
I mean.
Because it's like you canceling. I think they're gonna have it to where it's because it's like they already messing up the supply chain, you know, with this, so our food shortage haven't even really hit yet. No, you know what I mean? Things haven't even got bad yet.
Yeah, especially with the bans that they putting on the farmers and all the extra laws and taxes that they keep putting the strings. They putting the restraints on the farmers to the point where it's literally costing too much for them to farm. Like it costs too much to have cattle to try to manufacture meat out here as an independent manufacturer. Now, large manufacturing companies, the Ford, the Oscar, and all of them, they gonna keep doing what they doing. But for the small town, the local butcher and things like that, it's costing too much for them. It's costing way too much money for them to even do it. Like the average cost of a farmer, I believe, is about $500,000, but they're bringing in about $200,000 in profit. So there's a $300,000 discrepancy from 500 is how much it costs to run one. Every year it costs 500,000, and you're only making 200,000 in profit. What is the other 300,000 for? Debt. How many people are willing to go into $300,000 worth of debt every year? It ain't like it's getting no better. And they keep coming up with new laws and restrictions on these folks, making it harder for our people out here to farm and give us actual graceful real meat organic meat, as you want to call it. So yeah,
fruits too, and all types
fruits
of
and vegetables as well.
So we got
By the way, did we talk about the lemons? Man, I went to go buy a pack of lemons the other day because my grandmother, she's a lemon head. She, she's old school. She and all of that, holistic healing. So she know all about that old school stuff, right? And lemons is a big cure. Lemons and garlic, right? Big thing with her.
They say garlic is man-made.
Just gonna get to it. So lemons and garlic, right? She sent me to go get some garlic the other day, right? I went and got some. I'm in the store and I'm looking. I'm like, what is this? Mild flavored garlic. What is that? Mild flavor. I'm looking at all the garlic in the store. Every single one of them said mild flavor. So I'm like, okay, that's all they got. I know my granny, she gonna take off on me. So I'm gonna just get one and bring it back, right? I get one, I bring it back to her. She flipped out. What is this? I said, bring me back some strong garlic. This is this. This ain't even real garlic. This is mild garlic. I said, I told her, I said, that's all I had, baby. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? So she was mad. She like, obviously there was, I believe there was an episode with Oprah where she flew to India and she said she could smell India in the plane when she arrived over there because that's how strong and potent the spices and the herbs are in India. And my granny was talking about how the spices and herbs not even that strong over here. And so she put me to the test and I had to agree. She's like, you can't even hardly, she said she gave me a thing of black pepper. She said, put it up to your nose and smell it. I put it all the way up to my nose. I smelled it. I said, yeah, it's a little strong. She said, back in the day, you couldn't even do that. She ain't lying. I remember as a kid, you couldn't even put black pepper up to your nose. Like there's no putting it all the way up here. That stuff will burn you up before you get there. You start coughing once you got about right here. So, it's potency in our fruits and spices and herbs and things like that. That's one thing. So I went to the store to go get a pack of lemons and I know how to shop. Some people don't know how to shop. What I mean is some people go in the store and they say, I'm finna go buy a pack of oranges and they just go in there and grab a pack of oranges and walk out. No, you need to look at what you're buying.
Well, I look up them the oranges. No seed. I'm like seedless oranges.
Seedless oranges, right? This is where I was getting at. My granny got mad at me because obviously I've been out of town. My peoples went and bought her a pack of oranges. She called me when I was in Texas and it was hot, flaming hot, throwing a fit. And I'm like, what's wrong? You know what I'm saying? What was wrong with? Ain't no seeds in them. I said, ain't no seeds in the oranges. I mean, in the lemons? I said, ain't no seeds in the lemons? She said, yeah, is they doing the crossbreed stuff that you was talking about? I said, yeah. In order for them to take the seeds out the lemon, they have to be crossbred. And then I told her, remember the last time I'm going to put them on blast. The last time I went to Schnucks to go buy a pack of lemons, I noticed there was only one pack of lemons. Not saying not one pack of lemons on the shelf. The shelf was full of lemons, had a whole little section of them, right? But out of all of those packs of lemons, only one pack of lemons actually said lemons. All the other ones said lemons, but when you start reading the fine print, lemons crossbreeded with mandarins. Lemons mixed with mandarins. Lemons organically crossbred. What does organically crossbred mean? Crossbreed means scientific.
Yeah.
That's science. So how is science organic? The math ain't math. You know what I'm saying? So, for there to be seedless lemons, and like you said, seedless oranges, went in the store again today. No seeded grapes. I found seeded grapes once in 6 months. Literally, from the point of June to December, I've only seen seeded grapes one time in the store. And when I bought them, they was old anyway.
Yeah, we're headed for somewhere, and it just, and it's not stopping. Like, that's what I say. Like, we're never going to get to the times where our fruit and vegetables are not going to be the same. The way we live is not going to be the same. These laws that they're steadily passing, and we're being distracted by so much entertainment, but these laws that they're being passed, like, these are laws that are going into play, and it's going to change. It's going to affect everybody's lives. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
And again, this is why we do this, so you all could be aware of, just to have an idea of, just to start doing your own research. You know what I mean? Figure out how this stuff is going to affect you, your family, your children, if you have any. Schools are changing. Jobs are changing.
Yes.
Just everything. You know what I mean? And I got one more. I don't know if you have one something else, Mojo, but they say a Christian teacher jailed after refusing to use gender neutral pronouns is told he will remain behind bars for Christmas after telling court he should not be punished for his views on transgenderism.
He shouldn't.
So a Christian teacher who was jailed following his refusal to use gender-neutral pronouns, has been told that he will remain behind bars over Christmas. Ooh. Enoch Burke was jailed in September after refusing to obey a court order to stay away from Wilson's Hospital School in County Westmeath, Ireland, a school he is employed at. Now, his school told him to stay away in August after he was suspended on full pay for refusing to address a transitioning student as they rather than he, citing his devout Christian beliefs, which he maintained are against transgenderism. But Mr. Burke ignored the order and continued to attend school, leading to his arrest. He told Mr. Justice Connor Dignam he was not a thief, a murderer, or a drug dealer, and that he was being imprisoned because of his Christian beliefs. But the judge refused to release Mr. Burke as he was not willing to comply with the court order. However, Mr. Burke can be released at any point so long as he purges his contempt before the court. He told the court that he would not do so as he would be reneging on his duty to God and his core Christian beliefs. He again pleaded with the court that he was not a criminal and asked them to free me for Christmas. I am in prison for my religious beliefs, he told the court.
Shout out to this brother. First of all, shout out to this brother. First of all, y'all should have known who y'all was dealing with anyway. His first name was Enoch. So y'all should have known what y'all was getting into anyway. The man named Enoch and he a Christian. You should have known what type of time it was when you dealing with a brother like this anyway. But to lock the man up because he won't call the child they, and it's a transitioning child, and he won't refer to it as they, he refers to him as him because it's a boy, and y'all locked him up for that, then won't let the man go for Christmas. Like he said, he's not a drug dealer, he's not a murderer, he's not a rapist. You got him jailed like that. First of all, shame on the school, but really big shame on the judge. I dare the judge hear this man plead with him to get out of jail for Christmas, which as a Christian, he should
judge probably go to jail too if he let him.
They might let the judge up if he let him out.
Say, I'm sorry, but I gotta look.
Hey, my safety. So shout out to the brother for standing firm.
Yeah,
because he can get out of jail. You heard what they said. As long as he renege, he take it back.
He said, "I can't renege on God's word or my Christian values." So
stand on it, bro.
And you know what's interesting to me is that when these 6-year-old kids feel this way in regards to a man, if I'm a girl or a boy, they're totally fine. You know, like the doctor doesn't tell them, oh, you're not, you know, you know what I mean? Like, because if you think about these doctors, what position are you in as a doctor? Like, how did you, in medical school, you had to know the difference between a man or a woman or a female and a male to pass medical school. So when you are now in the world and it's like, you're not telling, you're going along with the program. So it's more profitable. Like, think about it. These kids are worth millions of dollars down the line. And it starts from with the doctor within, because you get the puberty blockers. This leads to surgery. Yeah. It leads to therapists. It leads to all type of stuff to where it's everybody eats. You know what I mean?
It's like a prison pipeline.
But if you go to a doctor and the doctor say, oh, you're just going through a phase, you're a boy, get up, there's no profit in that. No. But if you keep these kids on a conveyor belt, they make millions of dollars for everybody down the line. And it's like, what reality can you live in? Then they say, oh, you have to accept the child. It's either you accept the child being transgendered or they will commit suicide. Now, all of a sudden, my child is going to commit suicide, which is very hurtful. But how come we don't have these mass rates of suicide going back to the 1990s, the 1900s, from people feeling that they girl, boy? There wasn't mass millions of suicides and people offing themselves off due to it. You see what I'm saying?
That's why I'm glad we started off the show, when we gave, started off the show with that Psalms quote that I read out the Bible.
And one more thing, like, it's like, if they're going according to, like, if I feel like I'm a girl or a boy, then what about people who feel like, oh, can I get, I feel like I want my chest to be bigger. Can I get free breast implants? Because, they give out free hormone blockers.
Yeah.
Before you even hit puberty. Yeah. And this causes health effects. It causes you to be sterile. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people often commit to suicide after they take these drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have we ever looked into, like you said, has anyone ever done research into these hormone blockers and things like that in connection to suicide? I'm with you on that. Have we ever figured out if that's even the cause of suicide or anything like that?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Is it possible that these pills or this medication that you're giving these children is actually putting suicidal tendencies and thoughts in their brains?
Like, you can't even ask a person, like, what is a woman? Like, nobody can tell you what a woman is no more.
Yeah. Yeah. What is a woman? What is a woman? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? What I said? What is a woman? What do you mean? What do I mean? What is a man? What do you mean? What do you mean?
I would never thought, if you'd have told me a couple years ago that, there's going to be a time where people are not going to be able to identify a man or woman, or you're not going to be able to speak freely on that, I would have said we're living somewhere out the country, or, we're over in somewhere in China or one of the Muslim countries or something. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I would have never thought that would be right here.
No, I agree. Everyone watching this show right now is of age. And if you're not of age and you're a minor watching this show, then you're of age where I'm about to point to. Think back in 2009. If someone told you in the year 2009 that what she just said, you wouldn't be able to identify a man from a man or a woman from a woman. When someone would walk up to you and ask you, what's your definition of a woman? You would have to say, what do you mean? In 2009. If someone would have told you that, like you said, people would think we were living in another country. We'd be out in space somewhere. It'd be jets flying around and all kind of stuff by now. Like we'd be living like the Jetsons to have.
But that's what we're headed to. We're headed to these other countries on just being able not to, speak on these things.
Prayers up for brother Enoch Burke, locked away in prison for a wrongful injustice thing, something that he shouldn't be locked away for in the first place. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that. He doesn't have to announce you for what you are. If I can't go around and tell people that I'm white, you can't go around telling people that you're a woman.
Or if a woman that's 90 pounds go to the doctor and say, I feel like I'm a 300-pound woman, what is he gonna tell her? Yeah, you a 300-pound woman.
I just start working on weight.
He gonna tell her, they gonna, so we gotta start, being honest with ourselves about certain things.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that Cash App and PayPal. You know what I'm saying? And everything like that. But we appreciate y'all coming out, man, and all the good stuff. Common sense isn't so common nowadays. And be on the lookout for what's about to happen and stay prayed up. You better go to the Lord before he have to come get you.
Amen. Jesus Lord.
How about that?